Forspoken, The Last of Us, Jedi Survivor, Wild Hearts, The Callisto Protocol, the list goes on and on. 2023 has not been a good year for AAA PC ports. In truth, this has been an ongoing trend over the last few years, but lately it seems to be even more heightened because PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of these same games don't seem to suffer the same amount or the severity of these issues that you're seeing on PC. So what is going on with the state of AAA PC ports? I think it's super easy to say that game developers and game studios are just out to get the most money possible, and if sales like we saw with Jedi Survivor are still going to hit all-time highs, then what's the incentive to delay a game for performance issues when you can release it, make your money, and then patch it afterwards? Yeah, I know the phenomenon isn't exactly new. This has basically been the case ever since we started getting internet patches for our games. But as I mentioned, console versions of these games aren't dealing with the same amount of issues. I'm not saying that console ports no longer have problems, they do, but they don't seem to have the severity that we are seeing on PC. So if it's not just greed, then what is it? Configuration variety and complexity in setups has always been a thing with PC gaming. In the past, you could pump out better performance out of games than their console counterparts with setups that were priced similarly or sometimes even cheaper than the actual consoles themselves. Obviously, games have gotten much bigger and more complex, which of course accounts for some of this, but as time has gone on and technology has advanced to not only improve graphical performance, but gameplay performance and data streaming performance as well, the story on PC or even on consoles when compared to each other isn't just about teraflops or CUDA cores anymore. Naturally, this means that there are more opportunities for things to go wrong on PC, and consoles have a more controlled environment, meaning that game developers have a better time understanding what hardware their game will be running on, therefore streamlining the optimization process for consoles. I'm not making excuses for these game developers and game studios that are pumping out these games in their broken state just to make a bunch of money, but I gotta imagine there's enough people within these studios that really care about their work. Actually, I know that they do. The state of PC gaming is much more complex right now than it ever has been in the past. We got weird GPU launches from Nvidia, AMD tends to need a few driver update cycles to get the most out of their hardware, new versions of operating systems like Windows and then DirectX have impacted gameplay more than ever before, and while CPU bottlenecking isn't as much of an issue as it has been in the past, we've seen DRM issues breaking games. Some games effectively use multi-threading, some don't. It's no longer just a horsepower race when it comes to PC gaming and performance. Let's take a quick look at the specs for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, because right before launch, everyone was making a huge deal out of the GPUs for each of these consoles. The PS5 only having 10.28 teraflops with 36 CUDA cores, whereas the Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops and 52 CUDA cores. Turns out the difference here is almost negligible, and even in some third-party instances, you're seeing better performance out of the PS5. Why is that? A large part of it is the NVMe SSD throughput being much higher on the PS5 than it is on the Xbox Series X. What does that have to do with PC gaming? Well, go look at any GPU review from a Linus Tech Tips, a Jay's 2 Cents, a Digital Foundry. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I certainly have. The trend is no longer just which one has the most raw horsepower. Gaming performance is now impacted by things like power efficiency, data throughput, VRAM performance, and when you start looking at things like automated processing for DLSS and dynamic resolution rendering, it's no wonder that the complexity here is causing performance on PC to start falling behind some of the consoles, at least on the stability front. Look, from the consumer and gamer point of view, it's easy to say just keep delaying these games on PC until they're in a state that they actually function at launch, but as someone who works and has worked in software technology, I know it's different from gaming. From a business standpoint, why would you not release a game when you know that a significant portion of your user base is on consoles and you know that the game is in a serviceable enough state to launch? Sure, you'll get some bad publicity, but if you're making the money anyways and you can patch the game afterwards on PC, I disagree with it, but I understand and know how these decisions are being made. There's always going to be a subset of gamers that just say don't pre-order, and I generally agree with that, or people that say it's alright, I'm just gonna wait, I don't need it at launch and I can get a discount on it and it's gonna be in a functioning state a couple of months down the line. That is a totally fair, completely reasonable, and I'd say very prudent thing to do these days. And while this simple answer might be to say just vote with your wallets and these game studios will learn to not release broken games anymore, unfortunately I don't think that's the world we live in. I don't know if there's any industry that's the size of video gaming where consumers can actually dictate and influence how these corporations are going to behave. That's not to say that you shouldn't try, but on the same token, it's also completely okay if you paid for a game at launch and you're upset that it's not in a functioning state on PC. People will say, well, that's what you get for getting it on launch day, and I say maybe release a game that's in a functioning state. I don't know what the answer is, I don't know how things are going to shape up moving forward, but it seems like PC gamers are really starting to get fed up with this, so hopefully we start seeing a change soon. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this. It's just an interesting thing that I think is beyond just the greed itself. I do think that a lot of these developers and the people and the individuals that work at these game studios really care and are very passionate about their work, and gamers can be real dickheads sometimes and start attacking these individual developers that have no control over the business decisions. So it's just disappointing that instead of the focus being on the game and the gaming experience and having fun with these games that we're looking forward to, the conversation just focuses for weeks or months at a time on just just a really bad launch. As I mentioned, as a consumer, I don't know how effective actually voting with your wallets would be, but that's really the only recourse that we have. For game studios, it's pretty simple. Pay attention to the people from the inside that I'm sure are actually bringing up these issues with these games, and just launch a game in a functioning state. I don't think that's too much to ask if you're gonna charge us $70 for new titles. That's it. That's my rant. I just really wanted to touch on this because it seems to be happening a lot this year, and I don't know if it's gonna get any better anytime soon, but fingers crossed that it does start getting better. Thanks for listening to me. My name is Danny with the DMGZ. I got some more videos coming up soon. Please like and subscribe if you so choose. I'll catch you next time.